The Pledge of Allegiance is again under assault by radical atheists, this time in Massachusetts. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action. Joining me in studio is Deryl Edwards, President of Liberty Counsel Action. Deryl, our friends over at One News Now are reporting that another lawsuit is challenging the constitutionality of the Pledge of Allegiance based on the term under God being present in the pledge. This time they are looking to the Massachusetts Constitution instead of the federal Establishment Clause, and citing that. The case is brought by an Acton atheist family that objects to the mention of God in the pledge, and the American Humanist Society is representing them and getting behind the Dews, I believe is their name, in their effort to completely bar the Pledge of Allegiance and the term under God. This is once again an absurd case, a frivolous case being pushed, and those people like Michael Newdow, who I've debated before on this topic, who have tried over and again to get under God removed from the Pledge of Allegiance, or any reference to God in various city or state seals around the country removed, crosses banned. These are people who seek to censor our American history, rich with religious, particularly Christian background and heritage. Our very national motto, one nation under God, or rather, in God we trust, our very national motto, placed on money, around the country. If they're going to ban the Pledge of Allegiance, then our very currency is going to have to be banned. It's the incongruity is just mind-boggling here. The inane approach that these radical atheist and Christian-hating groups are taking and trying to scrub through religious cleansing America from her religious heritage. It's really mind-boggling to normal people, but there are these radical factions out there that really do hate Christianity so much that they want any reference to God removed from any public forum.
I'm a little confused. You did say the Massachusetts Constitution?
Yeah.
If anybody listening wants to go to malegislature.gov and they can look up the Massachusetts Constitution, Article 2, I'll read this.
Yeah.
It is the right as well as the duty of all men in society, publicly and at stated seasons, to worship the Supreme Being, the great Creator and Preserver of the universe. I'm reading from the Constitution. And no subject shall be hurt, molested, restrained in his person, liberty, or estate for worshiping God in the manner and season most agreeable to the dictates of his own conscience, or for his religious profession or sentiments, provided he doth not disturb the public peace or obstruct others in their religious worship. I think that's pretty plain. I think I would have picked another state constitution. It seems like they've chosen a weak argument.
Well, no one ever accused liberals of being the most strategic and the brightest among us. I mean, that's not a surprise that they would have stumbled into such a clear.
If they want to change something, maybe they should change the Constitution first.
The Massachusetts Constitution.
Right.
But hey, when has something being clearly constitutional or something being unconstitutional ever stopped liberals from pushing their radical secular socialist progressive agenda? It doesn't.
We've talked about that all week.
Absolutely. The facts and their agenda, neither the twain shall meet. Their reality and the progressive agenda are as far as the east is from the west. So we shouldn't be surprised that they're doing something so stupid. So clearly, to anybody objectively on the outside looking in, saying, how can you even arrive at this silly notion that somehow the Pledge of Allegiance, just because it says under God, should be banned, when, as you just read, the Massachusetts Constitution is chock full of references to God and the Supreme Being and the necessity, the Creator, and how we need to pray and beseech Him. I mean, it's got to drive atheists absolutely batty that our nation was actually founded as a Christian nation on Judeo-Christian precepts, when those precepts run completely counter to their ungodly worldview.
Yeah, they want us to, I don't know, it just strains your rational thought to think that, okay, if I try, an average person can't think like they think. Because on the one hand, you're trying to think that way, and then you're trying to look at the documents they're referring to, and you have this cognitive dissonance that goes on in your head, and it's like, I can't relate the two together.
That's why we have terms like historical revisionism. If you want to achieve an end, and that end does not line up with history, with the facts, with the law, with the Constitution, with reality, then you have to revise the facts. You have to skew the facts in order to, bend them in order to reach the end that you seek to reach. It's a rationalization. They are rationalizing what they want reality to be, even though the actual reality is the exact opposite. Here is a perfect instance of the liberal mindset. Groups like the Freedom from Religion Foundation, groups like People for the American Way, these God-hating organizations that hate Christians, that hate Christianity, that push this radical secularist agenda, socialist agenda. They embrace the culture of death. Anything that would be an affront and offensive to God, that is what's cool to them. Abortion on demand, paid, and not just the right to go get an abortion, but forcing you and I to pay for an abortion, something we find reprehensible. The ridiculous oxymoronic notion of so-called same-sex marriage. Well, God created marriage as clearly between a man and a woman, so they have to take a hammer and break that and try to redefine it, recreate it as to something it is not. This is all about rebellion. The progressive mindset is rebellion against reality, and political correctness creates a barrier to reality.
And it's a rebellion against the rules that our founders recognized, that society is governed by the nature's law and the law of nature's God, and they talk about these things. And C.S. Lewis talks about this moral law that pervades the universe, and they don't want to live under those restrictions because, as you said, they are in rebellion. I believe that's the core of it.
You bring it all up to a 50,000-foot level, and it amounts to this: it's moral relativism. It's relativism. Generally, everything is relative. Even marriage is relative. I mean, even the objective notion that our founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence put forth, that all men are created equal and granted certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even that is relative. Life, the unborn, if they're an inconvenience, well, they're not protected by the Declaration of Independence. They weren't granted by their Creator certain inalienable rights, and that's why we have, people who embrace that mindset. Some sitting on the Supreme Court right now, people like Elena Kagan, who during her confirmation hearings refused to answer whether or not she agreed with the Declaration of Independence. She can't. If you agree with the Declaration of Independence, then you can't agree with the progressive agenda. The two are completely at odds.
Yeah, well, what you have are people who, as you said, they want to redefine morality, and in some cases when things butt up against what they want to do, their behavior, whether it's immoral or illicit, or in the case of abortion, it's the taking of a life, then we'll either redefine that document that restricted me, or we'll get a judge to overrule it, or, as in the case of this Massachusetts Constitution, we'll just pretend it's not there and not look at that part.
Yeah, which is obtuse, but yet that's what we see coming from the left. Well, folks, at Liberty Counsel, this is what we do. Our three planks primarily are defense of religious liberty, defense of these kids in school to have a right to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, to have a right to say the national motto, "In God We Trust," and not to be censored and not to be persecuted by radical leftists. We stand firm for the sanctity of human life from conception to natural death. We stand firm for the protection of the natural family and natural marriage against assaults from all form of perversion. Go to lc.org to learn how you can become part of our team. We'd love to have you join us. It's because of your gifts, your generosity, that we're able to do what we do, defend against these kinds of assault on the Constitution in states around the country like Massachusetts. We have affiliate attorneys all over the country. We go in courtrooms across America in defense of the original vision of our founding fathers, in defense of religious liberty, the sanctity of human life, the natural family, and natural marriage. Go to lc.org to learn how you can become part of our team, or give us a call at 800-671-1776.